Hi, thank you for tuning in to the Patricia Show. My name is Patricia. Please press like and subscribe and share this audio with someone who you may think need it. Are you a person of your word? If there's one thing that really annoys me, is people say they're going to do something and then don't do it. Have you ever had somebody say, um, let me answer my phone and I'm going to call you back? And you wait upon them to call you back and they never call you back. Or either they'll tell you, okay, girl, I'm going to call you back Friday. And then they don't call you back Friday. Now, you might think, wow, that is, I'm not going to be annoyed over that. But you're not a person of your word. That's what I think of. If I tell you that I'm going to call you back, I'm going to call you back. Even if it's late, I'll call you back and say, hey, I'm not going to talk long, but I told you I'll call you back, so I just wanted to call you back. I pride myself on being a woman of my word. I think like this: how can you say that you're walking in the light of God if you're not a person of your word? Even though you may think it's a little thing, it's not a little thing. I have had people tell me they'll call me back, and I rearranged what I was doing to be prepared when they call me back. For example, I might have been talking to somebody on the phone, and usually I talk to them a long time, and I'll say, hey, you know what, I got a call coming in, so I'm going to call you back later. But I sit there and wait, and that call never comes in. You don't know what that person is doing to prepare themselves to speak to you. If you're not going to call the person back, what is so terrible in calling them and saying, or texting them and say, hey, I'm not able to call you back tonight, but I'll talk to you another day? The whole thing, if it's small to you, like my friend used to say, if you tell a little lie, you'll tell a big one. The same thing with your word. If you give your word on something little and don't keep it, you won't keep your word on something big. It shows what type of character you have. If you always saying you're going to call somebody back and never do it, you're just a liar. And you don't care about anybody but yourself, and you're very selfish. That is what it tells me about your character. Now, you might say, where did you get selfish from? Because you didn't think about anybody but yourself. You didn't think about what that person was going through to prepare for your call. The only thing you thought about is you got tied up or got busy or whatever the case may be, and you couldn't follow through on your word. But you don't know how it affected the other person, nor did you care. Because if you cared about how this is going to affect the other person, you would have sent them a text or something and said you weren't able to call back. Do you realize that if you can't keep your word, if you can't be a woman or a man of your word, that tells a lot about who you are. It tells a lot about your character. So I really try, like, whatever it is, to, if I give my word, I give my word. It's almost like my mother used to say, your word is your bond. When you give your word, try very hard to stick to it, because your word is your bond. If I have a business deal, I'm from that old school where, hey, if I tell you we're going to do certain things in this business deal, I'm going to stick to that and do what I tell you. So basically, we don't need a contract. A handshake is good enough, or my word is good enough. Some people, nowadays you write contracts and things like that. But in the old days, when you trusted a person's word, a man was a word of his bond. That if a man or a woman said they're going to do something and they do it, that person has good character. And they're going to do whatever deal they said they would do for you. So the only thing you need is their word. You didn't even need a contract. Do you know how important that is to keep your word and how people view you when you do keep your word? Have you even thought about what it means when you don't keep your word? I always say that you have to, you know, you need to, like, I always tell people when you meet people, like if you're meeting a new guy or something, all you have to do is listen to what they're saying, because what they tell you or what they're talking about tells you about that person's character. All you have to do is look at a person's character and you see how they are. So if I see somebody who can't hold their word, they don't have good character. Or if I see somebody who will, like if they get another, you know how people get another call come in and they tell you to hold on and then they never come back to the phone. That is a person that does not have good character. They are selfish and don't think about anybody but themselves. And let me tell you why. If I put you on hold like that, and then I give no thought to what you're feeling by being on hold like that, no consideration for you being on hold, it's because I don't care. All I know is I got a call from somebody who I enjoy talking to or like talking to or look forward to talking to, and you on hold, so you just have to wait. That's what it's saying. What type of character you have. I don't even know nowadays if people even care about their character. But your character means a lot, because I know men who will meet a young lady, and a man always say they put you on a woman under a mental microscope for like 2 weeks, and they know all about what this person, how this person is, how the character is, and they decide from that if they want to go after this person for a booty call or for marriage or for a serious relationship, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how men look at you, because they see how you are for 2 weeks. Basically, they're looking at your character for 2 weeks to see how you are. Now, my husband told me it never took him a whole 2 weeks to figure out a woman, her character. He would know it in a couple of days. He could see her, what type of character she had. So if you think that your character don't mean anything nowadays, you are sadly mistaken. Because when a man meets you in a couple of days, he know if you a whore, I say, if you a booty call, if you desperate to get married, he know. I had a friend a long time ago. She was very desperate to get married. And I used to tell her the men know that. And she would say, no, I never do anything to show them that. And I kept trying to tell her that men be watching you like under a mental microscope when they meet you. They know. She says, no, 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 I never showed them that. The man came back and told her, like, hey, I know you really want to get married. And she said, I never told you that. What makes you think that? He said, trust me, I know. Because you don't have to come out and say it. Sometimes you're doing so many different things. It just shows in the way you act that you're desperate to get married, So how you act or what you do or how your character is, people could see that. And you're either going to pull people closer to you or further away. Because if they have good character, believe me, they're not going to want to be bothered with you too much. Or they're going to kind of, if a man, he's not going to take you like, hey, this is not somebody I want to be my wife if she can't give me her word. Because I can't trust her. When people can't take you at your word, how can they trust you? Whatever you say, they don't know if it's true or not. They don't know if you're going to stick to their word. They don't know, because you've already showed them you don't have good character and your word is not your bond. How would you feel if you met a man and that man always showed you that his word was his bond? Wouldn't that make you feel secure with that man? enjoy being with him more and feel secure and, comfortable with him, because this is somebody you could trust. I don't care. Like sometimes I could be on the phone talking to somebody and somebody else will call in if I know it's maybe somebody I need to talk to. I'll say, let me call you back in like 10 to 15 minutes, and then I'll call back. Now, that hasn't always been 10 or 15 minutes because maybe, the conversation took long with the other person, but I definitely always call them back. And if it was longer than 10, 15 minutes, I'll say when I call back, hey, I'm awfully sorry it took me longer, but, that was a very important call I needed to take. And people understand that. But I said, I'll call you back, so I'm going to call you back. Because that's what I said I'm going to do. Be a woman of your word. Having a good character, you may think doesn't mean a lot, but it means a lot. People might not say anything or talk about it nowadays like they used to back in the day, but believe me, it means a lot, because when you first meet somebody, a date or a man of some sort, if you're a woman, that man is looking at your character. Now, women is another thing, because women, you should be looking at the man's character, but you don't. You will see he has a bad character, and then you'll say, oh, you know what? I could change him. That's how some women do. Oh, I could change. Honey, you can't change anybody. Let me have a news break for you. You can't even change yourself. So how you gonna change him? So women should be looking at the man's character. If a man tell you, oh, I was in a relationship and with this woman and hey, everything was really difficult and she gave me a hard time, and he go on and on about the woman, that's not a man with good character. Because a man's supposed to treat his woman like he is a queen. Whether you getting along or not, you still should treat her like a queen. And then the thing is that when after the relationship is over, you don't go gossiping about it like a woman. You're a man. And usually, to me, if a man come and tell you negative things about his ex-girlfriend, he lying anyway. He just wants you to feel sorry for him. And so he'll give you this sad story that nobody treats him right, or this is a good one. Everybody always leave me. Wonder why. Wonder why they leave you all the time. So a civil woman looking at that and her red flag going up like, hey, maybe I shouldn't, like, what are you talking about her like that for? Instead of that, you don't do that. You just, oh, I feel so sorry for him. He looking for a good woman and he can't find one. And then you just take him in, and what he do? Turn around and do the same thing to you, what he did to the other woman. And then he'll talk about you when he get another girlfriend like he did the other woman. So women have to be very careful and begin to look at the man's character. Because if you all would look at the man's character in the beginning, you wouldn't have all this heartache with him. You would avoid an awfully lot of heartache if you would pay attention, listen to what he's saying. And don't just he say something that gives you a red flag and you just, brush it off thinking you're going to change him or don't pay it any attention. Red flags come up for a reason. It could be that divine God inside of you telling you, hey, this one ain't too cool. That's why the red flags come up. They're warning signs that you should pay attention to. Not just try to hide them. And every time you push down and try to hide those red flags, they come out bigger and bigger and bigger until you get involved in a relationship, and then the relationship go downhill because you didn't pay attention to the red flags. So everybody needs to, when you meet people, look at their character. And if they are not going to be honest with you for the littlest thing, then what do they need to go on the other way and meet somebody else. If they tell you they're going to do something, they should do it. If you say you're going to do something, you should do it. Thank you so much for tuning into the Patricia Show. Thank you.